Forces, Captain Fruit reporting for duty for another episode of Road Rage. For those of you that aren't familiar with Road Rage, I'm using a hands-free set, so it's not causing anything dangerous. I have it set up where I just talk while I drive, because I have a long drive to work, and it's early morning, so it's still dark. The sun hasn't popped out yet to illuminate, so it's a little bit of a dark, drive. But it's going to be a beautiful day. Absolutely beautiful day. Matter of fact, such a beautiful day, my kids want me to take them to their school's high school football game, so I'm going to do that today too. We're going to have a fun football night together with family. It's going to be absolutely wonderful times. Well, anyway, speaking of getting together and wonderful times, you know what? There's been a lot of dissension in the comic book world lately, especially within ComicsGate, anti-ComicsGate, whatever you want to call it. So, I thought, let's take a look back. Let's use the machine there and take a look back and let's grade ComicsGate. Now, just for the record, I don't want, this is speculative, this is my opinion, and I would love to hear your opinion down in the comments, but let's keep it constructive. This is not a bash on anything. This is not, this person did this wrong, this person did that wrong, any anti-thing in any way. Let's just take it, let's put on our college professor hats or teacher hats or whatever you want to say, and let's grade what ComicsGate has done, what has achieved, and could it do better, what has it failed to achieve. And these are, once again, my opinions, not yours, so don't get mad, okay? Just share your thoughts. Go down in the comments below. That's what these videos are for anyway. They're conversational videos, the Road Rage ones are. Man, this car just right in my rear end, and I'm going 10 miles an hour speed limit. Well, maybe allegedly going 10 miles an hour speed limit. They can suck a fart. Okay, so anyway, with that said, let's look at how this came to be. Once again, we're going to grade it as maybe new ComicsGate and OG ComicsGate, because I've been hearing a lot about that. Oh, this is OG ComicsGate and this. Well, okay, first of all, I guess people are calling OG ComicsGate the original ComicsGate, of course. OG means, right? But these are more or less the comic book critics. The people are criticizing behaviors and things like that, as well as poor comic books. Because ultimately, what we wanted good comic books. We didn't want ideology constantly thrown in our face. If there was an issue here and there, we didn't mind so much. But when you pick up 9 issues out of 10, and they're all telling you you're a scumbag because you didn't believe for Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton's the best thing since sliced bread, you're vilified. That gets old. And so anyway, people got tired of that, and as well as really crappy art and poor storylines. I mean, you can get away with more politics if the storyline's good. So these people started talking about these things and having disagreements, and it started, in my opinion, I think it started in the message boards of things like Marvel and these Comic Vine and things like that. And if you don't follow Douglas Ernst, you should. He talked about his experience there going in the Wayback Machine of that, and I was there too. Absolutely. And he's absolutely right. I've been pretty much temporarily banned from probably every single one of those comic sites, because they're nothing more than shills for the big two. For example, Douglas Ernst said he even received a moderator message saying, hey, we're trying to protect these guys, because they are what they are, and they're trying to keep them going and stuff, like protecting them from themselves, if you will. And they do that by silencing others so that they don't lose their cool and go nuts like Dan Slott and go on a tirade and make himself look bad by telling somebody to F off. Well, he's absolutely right. That's 100% true. Matter of fact, I contacted a comic book website too. I contacted their management over it. I said, guys, I advertise on a lot of these, at that point I advertise on a lot of these sites because there's a lot of correlation with my clientele from one of the businesses that I owned at the time. And I said, I can't in good conscience advertise here when you're allowing these writers like Whacker, I'm not saying Whacker's a writer, we're allowing the editors like Whacker and writers like Slott and sometimes some artists and things to sit there and belittle the very customer base that you're supposedly trying to bring in. And they said, well, we let them get away with a lot because they bring in clicks, and that helps us with the advertising. And I said, but how is that anyway going to help the clicks when these people, your customer base, is getting on there and finding themselves belittled because they had a slight disagreement with something with a comic book writer like Whacker, and they come out calling you an a-hole or anything like that for no reason whatsoever, and this poor behavior. And they said, well, the big names, like the names like that, draw attention, so they allow it to happen. And there's also other reasons too, because they need the books and stuff like that to review, so preview copies and things like that. So there's a lot of shill media there. So anyway, that caused people like me and things, if we have anything that's counter to get timeouts, bans, and the moderators would flat out lie and you say you did something you never did. So Doug Ernst wasn't alone in that. Absolutely, there was a lot of us, tons of us. I think we felt that way. When it happens, you're like, okay, well, maybe it was just me. But then you start realizing there was more than just me, because these people like me and Doug first. By the way, Doug is the reason I started a blog. So kudos once again to Douglas Ernst. I started a blog, The Henchman's Lounge, as well, and we would get our point of view and perspective and things out that way through our blogs. Well, then we start realizing we're not alone. There's all these other people that are in the same boat as us, that have the same issues, that we didn't do anything that broke any of the rules or anything, but yet we got banned because we disagreed with an editor or writer or whatever. So, yeah, we've been using our blogs to share our voice, because our opinions were blocked because these writers and Marvel employees and things like that, writers, editors, things like that, didn't want our voices shared because they didn't think we were important or we should matter. Actually, I think it's because they feared what we said, because we were getting people backing us up. That's when you usually got thrown out of those sites, is because people were agreeing with you. And so then we'd have our blogs and do that. I remember one time I blogged on a controversial topic about something that happened, and all I did is I called out a particular writer like Rod Mars and said, hey, why don't we, because he was going nuts about the situation. I mean, absolutely nuts on social media. It's like, why don't you wait until the facts actually come out before you pass judgment on a person? And whoa, did that piss him off. And he went at me like nobody's business. Because all I said is, let's wait for the facts and then get a judgment. Because that's the thing. They don't want to wait for the facts. They want you to know their side, their view. They have agendas to push. So anyway, we all, we'd start these blogs, and then we start popping up on YouTube. That's where I met Captain Cummings, and I had very few followers. I was reviewing a couple comics and things on YouTube. And he got Douglas Ernst and myself on a stream together, and we did a few streams, and those, I think those were really fun. Those were a blast. They're talking about the culture as well as the current comic books, just having fun. And around that time, it really started blowing up. Then shortly after that, we had Diversity in Comics, your boy Zach, and he just blew it up, man. he blew things up. That everyman vibe that people just gravitated towards too. It's like, yes, this is just an everyman like you and me, and he's speaking his mind. And here's the thing: the comics creators, Marvel, DC, they hated it not because he was attacking them. It's because he was criticizing the product, and they couldn't do anything to stop him because they weren't on a message board or something where they could just go to the moderators and say, hey, we want this guy silenced. They couldn't silence him, and boy, did it work. So they went absolutely nuts and after him, big time. And it just blew him up. When I said blew him up in a good way, and he went huge, and bless him for that, And so then it started giving more rise. So all of us got a little bit more attention. My channel's never really blown up. I'm probably not harsh enough. I don't know. It's people like what they want to like. This is not a sad story for me. It is what it is. Hey, more power to them. On top of that, YouTube hates me because of the topics I do sometimes, so they hide me. I also don't monetize, so they don't give a crap about me either in that regard. So they won't pump me up a little bit in the front because I'm not going to be generating ad revenue for them, because not going to happen, because I don't like their selective enforcement of policies and things like that. So they're not going to push my channel. That's one of them. So I don't show up in the analytics very well. But you know what? It is what it is, because the people that watch this channel support this shit channel. Everybody that supports this channel is absolutely amazing. They're great people. I mean, they converse, they send their comments in, they share their views on things, even if they run counter to mine. They're absolutely amazing. By the way, if you want to help support this channel, there's a couple ways you can do it. There's a Streamlabs OBS link down below, and you can do a one-time donation to help out the channel that way. You also have a Patreon where we give some Patreon exclusive videos that just for the patrons, just as a thank you. Sometimes I do some questions and things in there. I know I have not been doing it as much lately just because of time restraints. My family situation right now is a little rough. Not my relationship, my close family is amazing. It's a care issue. I have a stepfather with mental illness, and he's been taking a lot of my time. I'm in the process of trying to make things better. So, and that takes like 4 days a week out of that I have to run there, and I do his groceries. I do all the care stuff. So it's been keeping me quite busy. But that's a blessing too in disguise, because you do what you can for family. Oh, come on, traffic has gotten really slow here because there's a semi truck I gotta wait for. Maybe I should try to get around. Well, I think I'm gonna. Well, anyway, so I digress. So you're going, what about the grading? Well, I just wanted to give some of the build up of how this came to be. Yeah, you keep hearing my GPS reminding me where to turn and stuff like that. I love to have that on so I don't miss my exits and entrances and things like that when I drive, because I just like to do that. I tend to do that. That's human nature, I guess. At least for me it is. So let's start the grading. The first thing I'm going to grade on is communication, because the major comic book companies, through their shill media marketing websites, if you will, did everything they could to block messages. So ComicsGate, the OG ComicsGate, had to find ways around that through blogging and then through YouTube, and I think that's when it got really big and huge. So for that regard, for getting the word out there, I'm going to give them an A. Original ComicsGate, an A. I know I'm included in there, so I'm biased. So I think we've done a great job of getting the messages out through being blocked, finding other ways to share it. Though I will say it's a challenge because YouTube isn't helping in that regard either. So that's the first one. Now the second one, I'm going to say overall impact. Did we impact the industry? I'm going to say A- for that too. Now, some people, well, how did you? All you did was complain about comics and complain about actors. No, or the writer stuff. No, we didn't. First of all, we brought attention to the situation about the politics in the book constantly. Yes, as I said, we don't mind if it's just a little here and there, or even satire, because that's satire. You know what you're getting into. But, we don't want them crammed in every book, especially above the plot. We don't want the crappy art. We want a good quality. And did it cause the big two to change? Not necessarily. I think you've seen some changes. You've seen with people uproaring, not buying certain comics, sharing the message. So for that regard, they've done good. But also, to stir change, you have to have a change agent, something that creates the desire for that change. And so to create that second phase of ComicsGate, which is creators, people that were called out, these critics that were called out by these companies, well, if you can do it, you do it yourself then. It happened. They did it. And they did well. So that's why I'm giving them an A- on that. Now I would say behavior and staying together and sticking out. And when I say that, what I mean is civility, being professional. ComicsGate's going to take a bit of a hit on that. It's and once again, this is not meant to harm her or point finger at anybody at all. I'm guilty too as well. If it's something that you're interested in, you're passionate in it. And you can tell these people are passionate in their comic books. Absolutely. If they're video games, things, they're passionate people. Passionate people are going to show their passion on occasion. We're not robots. That's expected. And we say things we don't always agree with. And there's going to be fighting for that. Matter of fact, you want some fighting and things, because if not, where's the passion? We have to disagree once in a while. Disagreement's good, but the knock that we get is how we do it in public. We can't disagree in public and tarnish our own brand by not acting properly in public. The best thing to do is contact that person that you felt wronged you or whatever and say, hey, can we talk about this? And I know it's easier said than done. Absolutely. So in that regard, I'm going to give ComicsGate a C. There's a lot that we could have handled in general, all of us better, myself included. Once again, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. There's got to be better ways to communicate without as much toxicity, because that's only going to help the other people saying, look how bad they are, and things like that, and take away from the message and the goal of what was there in the first place. So I'm going to give that for the original. So there we go. So then we move to phase 2, which is the making of comics. Yes, we've been seeing the comic books coming out. They've been getting in people's hands. The quality is subjective, of course, but I would say overall the quality, I'm going to give a B+ Okay, and that's because, I haven't read them all, and for most part, the ones I've read, I've really enjoyed, and I've liked them, and I think they hold up right against the big two. Matter of fact, in a lot of cases, even better. We're getting products. The knock might be of timeliness. Not all of them are coming out in the best amount of timeliness, and that's still not terrible. I mean, when it's business, it's not 100% acceptable, but there is some leeway here, because remember, this is sort of new ground, new territory. There's going to be things that come up that weren't expected, like a Mark Waid or something trying to block you from getting your book published or getting it out in the hands of people. So on timeliness thing, I'm going to give it a B, because there was some slip-ups there, but for every slip-up, there's usually one that's early. So overall, once again, good score. Now, getting the books in the comic stores, it's been pretty abysmal in that regard. And once again, that's because like Mark Waid's and things like that, the businesses are openly trying to stop the competition. Remember, the very people that said, hey, if you don't like it, don't buy it, and just why don't you do your own? Well, they did their own, and then they won't they want a fair playing field. They want to block them from getting their product out there and distribute. So distribution has been an issue. Could ComicsGate do better on distribution? Yeah, but it's a slow process. You don't create a distribution channel overnight. It takes a lot of networking, a lot of contacts and things, and that truly takes a long time. So yeah, currently the distribution model probably could use some work, because personally, I don't think you could sustain a business model of doing Indiegogos and things of that nature consistently and maintain well. But it is possible, absolutely, especially if you keep close and treat your fan base well and keep them energized. And that's the kicker, keeping them energized, because you read a book and then you have to wait a year to get the next one. It's hard to keep people energized about that product, but one of the best ways to do it is keep in contact with your customers. Keep talking to them, sharing them their progress, and that's one of the things we have been seeing. So that's a good thing there. So we're getting a lot there. So for distribution, I'm going to give a C+, with the expectation that within a year, it's probably going to be a B+, because these people are looking for new ways to distribute, new ways to get the product out there. I mean, for example, ask Peter Simeti. It's not an easy process to do. Peter Simeti's absolutely awesome in what he's done in this industry. He's probably setting up the model a lot of people should be watching. He's going to be a best practice right there. You watch him if you want some best practices. He's showing how to interact with the customers. He's doing that continuously, using YouTube, using social media to promote the books, promoting a positive message about comics, and working hard for a distribution model to get the products in more hands all the time, and finding new and creative ways, like the Halloween books and things like that with Alternaween 1 and 2. Absolutely phenomenal ideas and things to get more books in more people's hands. Energize the people, and that's how you do it, energizing. So I'm going to grade ComicsGate for one more thing, and that's energizing a market. ComicsGate has brought in new readers. ComicsGate has brought in readers that were disenfranchised and left reading comic books. They've brought in more. Have they shoved some people out, maybe, or shoved people out? Yeah, okay, they've probably done that too with some bickering and things, but I'd like to believe, and I don't have metrics on this, but I tend to believe based on sales figures and things that it's actually helped more in that regard. So I'm going to give them an A- in that regard as well. So there we go. I think ComicsGate is winning. We haven't won. ComicsGate has not won, but they're winning. They're winning a fight. This is not a battle. This is a long string of battles. This is a war. One of the problems, too, with a large group is there's different goals. People have different goals in the whole ComicsGate thing. Not all of us want to see Marvel and DC burn. I want to see them do well. I want to keep reading good Captain America books. I'm not saying they're good right now, that's for sure. I want to keep getting good Superman books. Also not good right now. Or Batman and things. I want them to be good. And I want to see that happen. Other people do want to see it burn. So there's going to be different views on how we're succeeding in there and all. So I personally want to see books be good. I think competition's good. Iron sharpens iron. You think about it, the alternative views and the competition is what's created this. There wouldn't be as many of these new books out there, these independent people, these people decided to step up, if it wasn't for, competition and dissenting views, because we'd all just continue to get the same drivel. So this is wonderful. We're getting more product out there, different types of product, new characters, What's not to love about that, right? So overall, yes, ComicsGate has, in general, some issues. Yeah, but what group doesn't? What business doesn't? But they have a lot of good going for them, too. That's my thoughts. There's good and bad in everything. And hopefully there's something out of here that we can all enjoy. All right, I would like to know in your comments, what are your thoughts? If you were to grade ComicsGate, how would you grade them? What metrics would you grade them on? Do you think they're winning? And once again, as I said, this is a war, not a battle. I think it's showing they're winning, and one of the ways we're showing them that it's winning is we're giving new products, different products, and getting people to read things and check out new things. We're broadening the market. That's a good thing, especially if we want comic books to survive. But as I said, I keep interjecting my view. What are yours? I'd love to hear them. All right, everyone. Thank you for taking all this time. I know this was a long one. Thank you for taking time to listen. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Until next time, keep it frugal.